Okay, so today I want to talk to something that sits at the heart of so much unnecessary suffering and stuckness for so many entrepreneurs in their business. And that thing is judgment. Judgment, the way we instantly decide whether something is good or bad, whether something is right or wrong, wanted or unwanted. Um, a success or a flop. And it's very rarely the experience itself that is causing us the suffering. The suffering comes from the judgment that we place on that experience, on that situation. And I believe really that this is one of the biggest reasons why so many incredible, talented, capable entrepreneurs actually do stay stuck, because they're carrying this constant stream of judgment about themselves, about their businesses, about their circumstances. So in this video, I want to talk about and help you to sort of see judgment for what it is and how it is potentially keeping you trapped and causing all of that unnecessary suffering. So the judgment that something is bad, the judgment that something has gone wrong, or the judgment that says this shouldn't be happening, I don't want this, that is resistance, right? And the moment we judge something, as Robert Scheinfeld says, the moment we judge something, we get to keep it. You know, we judge something as bad, we get to keep it. And we make that thing, whatever we're judging, bigger than us. You know, we give it our attention, we feed it with our attention, and we treat it as though it's reality, like it's a fixed reality, rather than recognizing it as just a moment in time that is a reflection or an echo of an old way of thinking, or um, an old identity or an old state of being that is simply asking to be seen so it can finally pass and move through. So it creates all this resistance, right? The same is actually true when we judge something as good. When we judge something as good, we cling. We cling to it. We tell ourselves, oh my God, this is amazing. I want this. I don't want this to go away. This is how I want things to be. But of course, life is always moving. Everything is in a constant state of flux. And even our happiest moments, they weren't meant to ever be forever. They're meant to move through us and expand us and open us up to the next, even greater thing. But when we don't recognize that, we cling. So actually, when that good thing does move on or fall away, which it inevitably will, as I say, everything's in a state of flux. But when you're on a growth journey, when you are constantly raising in consciousness and progressing, it has to fall away to make way for the next thing that is better, bigger, higher. So when it does inevitably fall away and we've been clinging to it, we suffer. Perhaps the most painful judgment of all is the judgment that we place on ourselves. We judge ourselves for not doing enough, for not being good enough. We judge ourselves for being lazy, for procrastinating, for being undisciplined. We judge ourselves for being a bad money manager, for being, I don't know, a bad marketer, whatever it is. We tell ourselves that there must be something wrong with us. We must be doing it wrong when things aren't working out as we'd expected or hoped. So not only are we judging our circumstances, we're judging ourselves because of our circumstances. And very often making those circumstances that we're judging as bad mean something about us. And so that keeps us constantly trapped in the very cycle we're trying to escape, right? And nobody can thrive and flourish in an environment of judgment. And so, and I often think about, if you imagine you're in a petri dish and the solution that you're swimming in is judgment, whether that's the judgment of other people, whether you're judging other people, or you're fearing being judged by others, or there's just that constant commentary of self-judgment in your own mind. If you're in that kind of field, that energy of judgment, in that petri dish, in that solution, you cannot flourish. All you will do is contract, stagnate. So, what's the answer? Obviously, to release judgment. But in my experience, the answer is to be held in a space of total acceptance where judgment does not exist. Being held in a space where you don't need to defend yourself, where you don't have to prove yourself, a space where whatever you're carrying is allowed to fully come up into the light, to be fully felt and experienced, and finally move through you. So it's just that energy can finally move through you. Because what we resist persists, but what we allow transforms. So in that total acceptance, if you think about, releasing judgment means total acceptance of what is. But also that releasing judgment means, in that total acceptance, means forgiving yourself. But I want to make an important distinction here about what you're forgiving yourself for. Because, when I've done this work and I recognize that, oh my God, during the absolute shit times in my business when things felt like they were free falling out of control and, everything was falling around me, I judged myself so much. I judged my circumstances as being terrible, and I judged myself. I judged myself for being irresponsible. I judged myself for making certain decisions in my business that perhaps contributed to this shitstorm I was in. I've judged myself for not doing enough. I could have done more. I should have done more. And I used to think when I did this work that I needed to forgive myself for those decisions that I've made, for those bad judgments, for mistakes I made in the past that may have contributed to the challenging situation I was finding myself in, or maybe forgiving myself for the behaviors that made things worse. But at some point, I realized that I cannot forgive myself for what I'm not sorry for. So, what am I not sorry for? Well, I'm not sorry for pursuing my passion. I'm not sorry for taking the risks and making investments, even if those investments didn't quite work out. I'm not sorry I made them. I'm not sorry for making decisions that other people may judge me for, or because they don't understand. And I'm not sorry for behaviors in my business that may have come from or have come from a lower state of consciousness, because that was the best that was available to me at the time. So I want to make this distinction about what you are really forgiving yourself for in this work that enables you to come to a place of complete self-acceptance, acceptance of what is, in order to free yourself from judgment and then allow your circumstances to start moving, life to start flowing, and everything to start kind of, just moving and showing you that next level of expansion and growth and greatness. So the distinction is, what you are actually forgiving yourself for is for forgetting who you really are. For forgetting that beneath all of the judgment, all of the conditioning, all of those fears, you are already whole. You are forgiving yourself for believing that for 1 second you were ever unloved, unlovable, unworthy, unsupported, that you were ever isolated and alone, trying to figure it all out on your own, that you were ever powerless and had no agency, and for forgetting that you are the source to self of everything that you are seeking externally. And when you forgive yourself for forgetting the truth, then what you're naturally seeking from it outside of you begins to emerge. When all of that judgment falls away and you come to that place of total acceptance of what is and forgiveness for forgetting who you really are, then all of the things that you've been seeking all of the things that you've been, the clarity, for example, the confidence that you're wanting to find, the inspiration, the creativity, the feeling of prosperity and abundance, all of that starts to emerge naturally. You know, when you stop believing the stories that you're not enough, that you're somehow falling behind, or that something is wrong with you, when you release all of those, everything that you have, like I said, have been thinking you need to chase starts to emerge from within. And these have been some of the biggest, most profound breakthroughs that I've had for myself in my own journey and that I've seen with my clients. So I hope you found this helpful, that there was something in this for you. If you can recognize, oh my God, where is this suffering coming from? It's coming from the fact that on some level I am judging the situation as bad. I'm clinging. It's falling away because it was good, and now it's falling away because I'm being called to grow. Bringing yourself to that place of complete acceptance and self-forgiveness for forgetting the truth. So thank you so much for being here with me, for watching. As always, I invite you to comment below if you have any questions around this. I'm going to put a link below this video to something I've created called the Breakthrough Shift, which is a very, very special, bespoke 21-day coaching experience for you if you are just done with the struggle and you know you don't even have the energy to take in more strategy, or you just don't have the energy for another course. What you need is a breakthrough, like a paradigm shift, something to get you unstuck and get things starting to free flow again, the clarity, the confidence, that creative inspiration, new ideas and insights. So I want to help you to become available to that. So I'll put the link below if that feels something that is exciting, something that feels like it's speaking to you. I would love to walk you through this journey. Thank you again for watching, and I'll speak to you in the next video. Bye for now.